What if I told you that your job could disappear tomorrow? Not because you performed poorly, not because you broke any rules, not because your company is failing, but because of a decision made by someone you've never met. A budget cut, a reorganization, a change in leadership, a missed administrative deadline, or simply because someone higher up decided to move in a different direction. Now, before you say, why, that would never happen to me, I want you to think about something. How many people were laid off this year that thought that they were never going to lose their jobs? How many people walked into work expecting a normal day and walked out carrying a cardboard box? The truth is that most people don't realize how vulnerable they are until something threatens their income. I know, because I've been there twice. One situation almost jeopardized my ability to continue earning a paycheck because of a medical form that was submitted late during a difficult family tragedy. The second situation taught me that outstanding performance doesn't always lead to advancement. Those experiences completely changed how I think about financial security. Now, today we're going to talk about why depending on only one paycheck is risky, how professionals unknowingly place themselves in vulnerable positions, and what you can do right now to create more financial stability and freedom. Now, let's get into it. One of the biggest myths in the workplace is that good employees are immune from layoffs. They're not. I've seen companies lay off people with decades of experience. I've seen managers lose jobs. I've seen entire departments disappear. I've seen employees receive glowing performance reviews, only to be informed months later that their positions were being eliminated. Think about some of the major companies that have announced layoffs over the past several years. Technology companies, financial institutions, media companies, healthcare organizations, government contractors. No industry is completely immune. What's interesting is that many of the affected employees did everything right. They earned degrees, obtained certifications, worked overtime, exceeded expectations, yet they still lost their positions. Why? Because layoffs are often business decisions rather than performance decisions. The company may be struggling financially. A merger may occur. Artificial intelligence may automate certain functions. Leadership may decide to outsource work. When these things happen, your hard work may not be enough to protect your income. That's why diversification matters. Several years ago, I experienced a situation that completely shifted my perspective. At the time, I was focused on doing my job well and fulfilling my responsibilities. Unlike many professionals, I believed that if I worked hard and followed the rules, everything would be fine. Then life happened. There was a death in my family. If you've ever lost someone close to you, you know how disruptive it can be emotionally, mentally, and physically. Your routines are interrupted. Your focus changes. Your priorities shift. You're grieving. You're helping family members. You're making arrangements. You're processing emotions. Now, during that period, I had a medical form that needed to be completed and submitted by a specific deadline. Normally, this would have been a simple task. But because I was dealing with a family loss, the deadline simply slipped my mind. I submitted the form late, and suddenly I found myself facing the possibility of losing my source of income. Just think about that for a moment. Not because I performed poorly, not because I was incompetent, but not because I violated any ethical standards, not because my organization no longer needed my skills, but because one administrative requirement was submitted late during a difficult season of life. Thankfully, the situation was eventually resolved, but the experience, it left a lasting impression on me. I realized that my entire financial stability was connected to one source of income. One disruption, one mistake, one unforeseen circumstance, and everything could have changed. That experience taught me a lesson that I'll never forget. A paycheck can feel secure until something threatens it. After the situation was resolved, I found myself reflecting on something deeper. What if it hadn't been resolved? What would I have done? How long would my savings have lasted? What other sources of income did I have available? Those questions made me uncomfortable. But sometimes discomfort creates awareness, and awareness creates action. Now let's talk about something called golden handcuffs. Golden handcuffs occur when someone becomes financially dependent on their job because the salary, benefits, pension, stock options, or lifestyle are difficult to replace. From the outside, everything looks great. You have a nice home, nice vehicle, retirement account, vacation photos, professional title. But behind the scenes, the person feels trapped. They're afraid to leave, afraid to take risks, afraid to start a business, afraid to pursue opportunities, afraid to speak up, because losing that paycheck will create enormous financial pressure. I know people who have remained in toxic work environments for years because they couldn't afford to leave. Their paycheck became both their security blanket and their prison. The irony is that the very thing providing security also limits freedom. Diversifying income helps break those golden handcuffs. The second experience that changed my perspective involves something many professionals can relate to: a promotion. For years, I worked above my pay grade. I took on additional responsibilities. I solved problems. I exceeded expectations. I received positive performance reviews. I thought I was positioning myself for advancement. And based on the feedback I received, I believe a promotion was the next logical step. Then I learned something difficult. A manager chose not to recommend me for promotion, despite my performance, despite my contributions, despite the positive reviews. The opportunity never materialized. I remember feeling disappointed, confused, frustrated. I asked myself, what more could I have done? Eventually, I realized something important. Sometimes promotions are influenced by factors beyond your control: office politics, budget constraints, leadership preferences, organizational priorities, timing. None of these factors necessarily reflect your value, yet they can significantly impact your income and career progression. Now, that realization changed how I viewed employment. I understood that no matter how hard I worked, I could not control every decision affecting my career. And if someone else's decision could determine my financial future, I needed additional options. Now, one of the hardest lessons in the workplace is learning that performance and promotion are not always connected. Many professionals believe, if I work hard enough, everything will work out. Unfortunately, that isn't always true. You can be qualified. You can exceed expectations. You can train others. You can solve those problems. You can receive excellent evaluations and still be overlooked. That experience taught me an important lesson. Never allow your financial future to depend entirely on someone else's opinion of your value. Now let's imagine a graphic designer. We'll call her Michelle. Michelle starts a business and lands a large client. The client loves her work. The relationship grows. Soon that client represents 80% of her revenue. Michelle feels successful. Then one day, the client hires an in-house designer. Overnight, most of her income disappears. Michelle didn't lose a job, but she lost the equivalent of a paycheck. Now, this is why entrepreneurs need diversification too. Now let's consider a content creator. A creator builds a business exclusively on one social media platform. They gain thousands of followers. Revenue grows steadily. Then the platform changes its algorithm. Engagement plummets. Income drops. The creator didn't do anything wrong. The platform changed. And anytime one source controls your income, risk exists. For instance, say a consultant earns 6 figures annually. Sounds impressive, but 90% of that revenue comes from one contract. When the contract ends, panic begins. The lesson? Revenue concentration creates vulnerability. Diversification creates stability. People often ask, where do I start? Now let's create a simple 1-year roadmap. In months 1 through 2, concentrate on financial assessment, where you review your income, your expenses, your debt, your savings, and determine how dependent you are on only one paycheck. In months 3 through 4, you take a skill inventory. You list your professional skills, your technical skills, your communication skills, your industry expertise. You ask yourself, what problem can I solve? In months 5 through 6, you build visibility. You start creating LinkedIn content, YouTube videos, blogging, networking. Become discoverable. In months 7 through 8, create your first offer. Some examples include coaching, consulting, workshops, ebooks, and digital products. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. In months 9 through 10, generate your first side income. Your goal isn't thousands of dollars. Your goal is proof of concept. Even an extra $100 demonstrates that income can come from another source. In months 11 through 12, you systematize. You develop processes, marketing systems, client acquisition methods, and automation. Turn occasional income into recurring income. Now, multiple streams of income don't just provide money. They provide confidence. You stop feeling desperate. You stop feeling trapped. You stop feeling powerless. You realize that your value isn't tied to a job title. Your value comes from your skills, your knowledge, character, and ability to solve problems. Now let's imagine 2 people. Both earn the same salary. Both have similar education. Both have similar work experience. The first person depends entirely on one paycheck. The second person has a career, a small consulting business, investment income, a book, speaking engagements. When adversity comes, and eventually it will, which person has more options? The answer is obvious. The goal isn't to become wealthy overnight. The goal is to create options before you even need them. Because when you're prepared, you make decisions from strength instead of fear. And that may be the greatest financial advantage of all. If today's message challenged you, don't let it become another video you watch and forget. Take one action this week. Just one. Start the blog. Open the investment account. Launch the YouTube channel. Create the digital product. Schedule that networking meeting. Take the first step. Because 5 years from now, you'll either be grateful that you started today, or you'll wish you had. Thank you so much for watching. If this video added value to your life, leave a comment below and answer this question. What is one thing you're going to do this month to reduce your dependence on a single paycheck? I look forward to reading your responses. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep building a future with options.